Trying to take an eye on your enthusiasm towards Bitcoin. This is our current situation, where we've got this channel that I've drawn here where we both agreed it was going to hit 56, and it did. Again, I took Larson out because it just shows you trends, and it's not really just showing me levels, which I'm actually more interested in levels because I can see trends just by watching candles. So let's take a quick look here. You got your big, parallel channel here that I've drawn. And yes, there are some big green resolute candles here trying to get up and out. That's why I like to use candles, especially for this kind of analysis, because they tell you color and they also tell you how long a particular day was. Those are pretty impressive. But then there's been some very impressive looking other days where we kind of looked like we were coming up out of, the doldrums here, and then they went back down again. So still don't like the fact that we're still below the 9-day weekly moving average, and I'm going to show you why. Here is a particular situation where it went down and got out of the 9-day weekly moving average. This is just back in January of 2024, and it didn't even take that many big green days to get out of the bad situation. But let's look at historical situations here where we had some big peaky stuff. Big peaky stuff, big red candles down, big green candles up, blah, 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 blah. But then when it starts to head down, every time you get the big green candles up, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're home free yet. Here it's having a hard time getting away from the 9-day weekly moving average. It does, and then it just plummets. So I need more proof. There's another situation here. Coming down, gets down below the 9-day weekly moving average. It does something similar to now. Up, down, up, and then worse, okay? So I need some sort of really good looking assurance that we're not just in a situation right now, I'm going back to present time, where we could just hit my little limit right here, which is the most recent resistance, and then just go back down again, which would suck even worse. My biggest other concern is this. Let me take a little guy here and draw my parallel channel. I always watch out for these guys. Parallel channels that are getting tighter, okay? I had one recently with oil as well, where actually it was on the other side. It was heading upwards and the parallel channel got tighter upwards, and that definitely denoted that it was going to continue to go up. I'm not crazy about the fact that this parallel channel is getting tighter and down in the bottom range. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on it. This is a 14% boon if someone can catch it. I think it's very reasonable to assume that even trying to see if you could play from here to here in case we get this bump again is still dangerous, because we've seen that sometimes when it hits this for the third or fourth time, it just says, fuck all y'all, and it just drops down to its 50-day moving average. So I appreciate your enthusiasm. This is what I'm keeping an eye on. Also, just because all news sucks right now, and just because of other things like this. I mean, the enthusiasm of the, where's my cursor? I've got too many screens. The enthusiasm of the SPX also needs to get itself out of and away from its 9-day weekly moving average, which it's barely doing. That's this guy right here. It's barely doing it. And this candle right here, that's one thing Phil taught me. This is called a bearish engulfing candle, because it basically engulfs everything that comes after it until you get above it, and resolutely get above it, you're not out of the weeds yet. So, and we have some pretty nasty looking bearish candles over here too, like on Bitcoin again. This guy and this guy, which basically just grabbed everything before them like a black hole and sucked them up. And even these green candles haven't gotten out from behind these two bearish candles yet, and they need to in order to do anything convincing. The next level of resistance would be here at 67, and the next, from there on, if it keeps going up, of course, that's your 70. That's what everybody's looking for. But I don't know. I'm not convinced yet.